Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and in today's video, I'm taking a look at the brand new Pokemon in the world of Pokemon Go, Frostmoth. Frostmoth evolves from Snom, which can be encountered through the timed research or through hatching 7-kilometer eggs. Now, Frostmoth is a bug and ice type Pokemon, largely regarded as the worst possible typing combination in the entire Pokemon franchise. Its moveset is pretty solid: Powder Snow, Icy Wind, and Bug Buzz, but with a stat product around 1500, this Pokemon has a lot working against it. To evolve Snom into Frostmoth, first of all, it needs to be nighttime. This is a requirement that you can bypass by using Dawn Wings' adventure effect, as I do here. Next, you're going to need 400 candy, which obviously I don't have 400 candy, so I had to burn almost every rare candy that I have to test it out for this video. And then finally, you're going to need 10 Buddy Hearts. Once you have all 3 requirements, you can evolve and have Frostmoth. So without further ado, let's hop into the matches, and let's take a look at some greatly practiced battles featuring Frosmoth. Hopping to the first match, picking up the Dream Lead Dedenne into Galarian Moltres. Opponent safe switches into Fortress, and so far they are pretty weak to Dedenne, which is good news for me, because I'm definitely going to need Dedenne and Credilli to put in a ton of work if I want a chance to win with Frostmoth. I'm going to fire off Parabolic Charge, that's going to get them low. The fact that they didn't shield makes me think they have Earthquake, so I'm just going to go for a catch of the Earthquake onto Credilli. Credilli, more than happy to shake off a neutral Earthquake, and now I'm going to be answered with Shadow Gligar. Gligar will get a pretty significant overfarm, but unfortunately my opponent's remaining Pokemon are all weak to Ice, and I do have Frostmoth in the back. Now, Frostmoth being an Ice Bug type means that I will get deleted by an Aerial Ace, so unfortunately I will actually have to respect this move, even though it is debuffed. So I'm going to be shielding up the Aerial Ace. They bring in Galarian Moltres. Look at how much damage the Sucker Punches do. Oh no, Frostmoth is so frail. I fire off the Parabolic Charge. They're going to commit the shield. And now, my only loose con is shielding the Dedenne. So I can always no shield. They go for the Brave Bird, they get the farm down, but now their defense is at -3. I can farm all the way down with Frostmoth. Frostmoth still took so much damage to get that farm down, and we're able to take the win. Nightmare lead in game number 2, Dedenne into Stunfisk. I save switch Credilli, answered with Gligar. Unfortunately, my opponent is already ABA weak to Ice, but I wasn't able to get either Pokemon aligned onto the Frostmoth. So I think this is probably going to be a really tough game to win. Rock Tomb is going to land onto the Gligar. These Fury Cutters do add up quite a bit from the Gligar, and unfortunately, I'm low enough that even though I've debuffed their attack, I'm not surviving here, and Aerial Ace will pick up the KO. I do have a plan though, and the plan involves getting a ton of energy on the Dedenne. They're debuffed, which means I can survive a Dig. I want to bank a ton of energy for later and then snipe them down with the Frostmoth. So Dig lands, I bank a ton of energy, in comes the Frostmoth, and I'm able to successfully get that snipe. In the back is Furret. Oh my goodness, they were ABA weak to Credilli, and unfortunately, Credilli found the one thing that it could not beat, and that was the Gligar. Unfortunately, I'm just getting shredded by Sucker Punches here. They're going to go for the Trailblaze as well. They're realizing that their best advantage in this matchup is just the fast move pressure. Frostmoth has basically no defensive resistances, as these are 2 of the worst defensive typings in the game. Add to that, some very attack-weighted stats, and Frostmoth is definitely struggling. In comes the Stunfisk. I immediately fire off the Icy Wind. If I can make another Icy Wind, I actually win this game, but Frostmoth just doesn't have the bulk, and I resign the match. We move to the next match, Dedenne against Dusknoir. Dusknoir will throw instantly, not wanting to let Dedenne buff up its defense before the Shadow Punch lands. I will be firing off the Parabolic Charge and immediately going for Parabolic Charge number 2 as soon as I get it, because I want to pressure my opponent to make the shielding decision. Either I get Switch or I get Shield Advantage. They decide Switch Advantage is what they want. They will get a full farm down. I only take neutral on Frostmoth, so I'm going to bring it in. Opponent goes for the Astonish, and unfortunately they lose all that energy. That is a very lucky break for me. In comes Swampert. Swampert would easily knock me out with a Hydro Cannon, so I will put up the shield and just look to overfarm as much as I can. So I'm farming up a ton of energy. They send out Gastrodon, and I'm not baiting. I'm going straight for the Bug Buzz. Bug Buzz into the Gastrodon will be shielded. I make Bug Buzz number 2 on the CMP tied to the Body Slam. Bug Buzz, it's a massively powerful move, but it doesn't KO. How does it have 1500 stat product and it can't one-shot a Gastrodon? That is tragic. I will still get the farm down and get to a second Bug Buzz into the Swampert, but man, I was really hoping that that was going to one-shot the Gastrodon. It did not. We're able to take the win, but somehow I still exit that battle feeling a little disappointed. And I stay disappointed in the next match as I lead Dedenne into Marowak. Marowak, a terrible, terrible lead. This is the non-Shadow Marowak, luckily. They decide that they're not switching out, so the coverage on Credilli must be a bit of a core breaker for them. I decide not to bait, and I'm immediately rewarded for that decision as they end up trying to call a Rock Tomb. I will shield once and go for the Acid Farm Down here. It's going to be a very close farm down, but they do not get a third Bone Club. I have so much energy. They make a beautiful Peekaboo play as they bring in Moltres and then switch into Swampert to catch the Rock Tomb. I'm going to go for another Rock Tomb. They'll have to respect the potential Grass Knot, but if I'm going to have any chance of Frostmoth ever living a move, it's going to be by debuffing them. And I'm actually going to get a third debuff as well. Surely Frostmoth can survive a move when they're at -3 attack. Come on, Frostmoth, survive this Hydro Cannon. Opponent throws a Sludge. I can't blame them for not knowing the typing on Frostmoth, as it is a brand new Pokemon, and it's a typing combination that we haven't seen before in Go. I will fire off the Icy Wind. That's going to be getting Mandibuzz low. This is a Snarl Mandibuzz, which means they're only 2 Snarls away from their next Aerial Ace. I think I can win the game with the Frostmoth, so I farm up right till they get their move and get the Sack Swap onto Credilli. This means I never have to bring out Dedenne. I can just bring back in the Frostmoth, get the farm down, exit with the Bug Buzz, and we're winning Charge Attack priority over Swampert by a mile. So Bug Buzz comes out, down goes the Swampert, and that's a good game. Great lead in the next match, Dedenne into Golisopod. Here, I will go for the Parabolic Charge right away, but Golisopod will win Charge Attack priority. Oftentimes, if I was leading Dedenne with a real backline, i.e. not having a Frostmoth in the back, I would shield the first. But I don't really want to go down shields considering I have a Mon with 1500 stat product in the back, so I decide to no shield the first, and it does do quite a lot of damage. There, my opponent did go for the X-Scissor to try and cover for a catch, but I just stay in and shield it, and now we'll take the knockout with Parabolic Charge. Opponent brings in Furret. I'm going to bank a Parabolic Charge for later and send in Credilli. Credilli really does not like being down energy to a Furret. If Credilli's up energy in this matchup, it's completely dominant, but if Furret is able to boost itself up with Trailblaze before the Rock Tomb debuffs get applied, this can get a little bit uncomfortable. My opponent should overfarm playing to the Cacti here, and they do. It all comes down to this. Can I survive the Trailblaze to get the Rock Tomb? Yes, I can. I survive. Let's go, Credilli. Credilli, Rock Tomb will pick up the KO. What do they have in the back? No, it's a Talonflame, and I lose the game. In comes Frostmoth. We're getting deleted. My only hope is that for some reason they shield this Icy Wind, but they're never going to shield the Icy Wind. They just let it go. I bring it into Dedenne, and I'm just getting incinerated down and taking the loss. Nightmare lead in the next match, Dedenne into Clodsire. I safe switch Credilli, that's going to be answered with a Galarian Moltres. My opponent not staying in is good news for me, but the fact that they pivoted out, my guess means that they're probably weak to the Dedenne in the back. So if they stayed in with the Clodsire and beat the Credilli, then they'd be too low for Dedenne, and Dedenne could potentially sweep them later on. But unfortunately for them, the -1 Brave Bird does not knock out. I make a second Rock Tomb, and now they're forced to go down 2 shields. I'm just going to commit to the full farm down. My opponent is able to save the energy. Their final Pokemon is going to be Shadow Jumpluff. I have to respect everything here, as I do have the Bug subtyping. They full send the Acrobatics. That, honestly, probably even an Aerial Ace would have KO'd, but an Acrobatics probably would have KO'd every Frostmoth in existence. Frostmoth gets the full farm down, a win cap over everything, so my opponent cannot afford to bring in the Moltres. Instead, they're going to have to wait for me to throw energy on the Clodsire. So I'm going to fire off the Icy Wind and then immediately click Icy Wind number 2, anticipating the combo play. They don't go for it, but this is going to get them low enough that I can probably KO with the Play Rough. So I switch to Dedenne, there's the switch into the Moltres, and Moltres will make the Brave Bird, but unfortunately I can hang on. I tank the Brave Bird, get the farm down, back in comes the Clodsire, and we are somehow able to escape with a win. Even with getting Frostmoth on a Jumpluff, this was somehow still a very, very close game. We move to the next game, Dedenne versus Dusclops. Dusclops will get to outpace here, 9 turns versus 10, and land with a Shadow Punch. As Dedenne, you often want to shield the first move, but Shadow Punch has such little damage to it from a Dusclops that I really don't want to shield a move like that. So I will end up no shielding the first, and then just looking to buff up my defense with Parabolic Charge. They get to Shadow Punch number 2, I can survive that, and now I will go for the harder hitting Play Rough. I'm hoping that Play Rough can potentially set up a farm down for me, but it looks like Dusclops will barely hang on 1 HP and be able to take the 0 shield. That's okay, as I will get an acid head start. Unfortunately, I do lag by a turn, meaning that the hex damage registers when it should not, but it's not going to matter as there's a Scizor in the back. When team building around something like a Frostmoth that basically loses to everything, you're going to have certain team weaknesses, and Scizor is one of them, so unfortunately, if they shield this Rock Tomb, I have no way to win. I show them the Frostmoth, and I will just resign the match. Dedenne into Jellicent in the next match. Jellicent has high incentive to surf on alignment here, because if they don't, I get to boost up my defense with a Parabolic Charge. So they will surf on alignment, and now I get to return fire with the Parabolic. Parabolic will inflict massive damage onto Jellicent, it lands, and Jellicent will get farmed down. Opponent now sends out a Skeledirge, a team reminiscent of the Ultra Summer Cup, but obviously in the Open Great League. Skeledirge is going to shield up the first. They know they're going to have to shield at least once to get this aggressive farm down. And this energy is quite scary for my backline. They exit up so much energy, and I bring out Cradily. I always have to no shield because shielding a Torch Song would instantly lose me the game. So I no shield, it is the Torch Song, and that is a very, very good no shield. My opponent is just going to go straight Torch Song. They've lost a lot of HP throughout the course of this battle already, but resisted acids are not doing a lot in terms of trying to pick up that KO. The Rock Tomb is going to be shielded. They're going to fire off yet another Torch Song, and I think I have to try and call that they switch out here. So I'm just going to blind switch the Frostmoth. They switch into a Como-O, and my win con has appeared out of nowhere. The Como-O con. Como-O gets KO'd by the Icy Wind. In comes Skeledirge. Look at that Incinerate. It still almost KOs, and I'm able to take the win. Great lead in the next match, leading Dedenne into Shadow Sableye. Sableye will get hit with a Parabolic Charge. They are going to no shield. They know they can survive it, and now they can threaten a Dazzling Gleam or a Power Gem. I'm going to be putting up a shield here. They do full send the Dazzling Gleam. I could have potentially gone for the farm down there and had a Foul Play land, but I decided that I wanted to preserve health on the Dedenne. So now my opponent sends out a Lapras, and this is a pretty big surprise. Lapras, not the usual Pokemon that's behind a Sableye, but this should still be okay. I farm up till just shy of the Parabolic, and I catch the Sparkling Aria onto Cradily. The one thing I do not know is if the Lapras has Skull Bash or Ice Beam. If they have Ice Beam would actually be a problem here and knock me out. I can't afford to let Frostmoth go up against the Lapras, so I will end up committing the shield, and now returning fire with the Rock Tomb. Rock Tomb is going to be shielded up by the Lapras. It all comes down to this. Do they have the Ice Beam here? I don't have any shields remaining. They do not. It's going to be the Sparkling Aria. I fire off the Rock Tomb. This will be the end of Lapras. And now, what do they have in the back? In the back, it's a Talonflame. I switch to Dedenne, but I mistimed the switch, and Incinerate goes through. And that probably just lost me this game. Actually, I think I can end this game in a tie, but I one-turn lag when I bring in the Frostmoth. I only get 2 Powder Snows instead of 3. They Brave Bird, and I think it would have been a tie. Unfortunately, it ends up as a loss because of the one turn, but also my mistiming of that Parabolic Charge. Let's hop into this final match, which is in progress, and it's a good lead for Dedenne leading into Tinkaton. Even though Tinkaton does have super effective Bulldoze, Dedenne wins charge attack priority, so I get to ramp up my defense before they can Bulldoze, and they fail the coin flip, so they do not get that defense drop. Now, I will overfarm and CMP tie to their Play Rough, as Play Rough would inflict quite a bit of damage otherwise. But now that I've boosted up my defense, I should be in a pretty okay spot to fully farm down and exit with a lot of energy. So I'm pretty close to a Play Rough if I need it. Out comes Dragalge. That is a pretty spicy pick from my opponent. Dragalge going to be hit with a Play Rough. That does some pretty sizable damage. In comes Frostmoth, and I have a choice to make. I decide to no-shield this Aqua Tail. It's only a neutral hit. It still does like 60% of my health. In the back is Regidrago, and I immediately wish that I had shielded the Frostmoth. Icy Wind will debuff Drago, and now I get to bring out Cradily. Cradily trying to get to the Rock Tomb. I'm expecting they'll go for the Breaking Swipe here, so I will no-shield. They do end up going for the Dragon Energy. The good news for me is that my opponent is obviously still one stage debuff, so a Dragon Energy still doesn't hit as hard as it typically would. I'm continuing to farm up. My opponent will be able to take advantage of the desynced switch clocks and switch out after this Breaking Swipe. Breaking Swipe is going to land. There is the switch into Dragalge. I get the back-to-back Rock Tubes, but I'm on 1 HP, which means I can't shield. If I shield, I get KO'd through the shield, so I'm forced to let the energy go, and I will get farmed down by Regidrago. That's a game where I really should have shielded the Frostmoth, but even if I did, I still think that Frostmoth is so frail that I'd probably just end up getting farmed down by the double dragon types. All in all, Frostmoth is an incredibly cool Pokemon design that is doomed to never have success in Pokemon Go due to its incredibly bad defensive typing and its very attack-weighted stats. Now, the stats come from the main series, so does the typing. The moveset is actually pretty solid. I feel like they did it decent justice with the moveset, but I believe at one point I watched Wolf Glick's tier list of every potential Pokemon typing combination, and Ice Bug was listed as the absolute worst. It has no redeeming qualities whatsoever, so pairing that, a typing with a ton of weaknesses, quite a few double weaknesses as well, and almost no resistances, with stats that are all attack and basically no defense, means that basically any moves they could give it, unfortunately, it won't really ever see any competitive viability. I do think for how difficult it is to obtain, the fact that they've put it in eggs, it's 400 candy, and the fact that it also has the evolution requirement where it needs to be nighttime, or you need to have the Dawn Wings Adventure effect active, and you need 10 Buddy Hearts. I'm happy that a Pokemon that has this many hoops to go through if you want to get it is not good, but I think this is a Pokemon that you could definitely get for your decks just to have, but it's not a Pokemon that you need to be grinding by any means, as it will never have any value in the Go Battle League. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoy watching content like this, please do consider leaving a like on the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And an extra special thank you to the channel members we have here on YouTube. The support you guys provide helps me do what I do. So thank you guys oh so very much. And until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.